One of the most important elements of the job search process is preparing a quality resume. Why is a resume important? Well, for potential employers, it's a summary of your skills, training, education, and work experience, as well as your accomplishments with past employers. So let's discuss some basic resume tips. First, always use consistent fonts. Use a larger bold font for section headings and be brief. Keep it to one page. Avoid documenting short jobs, especially those that don't apply to the job for which you are applying. Always check grammar and spelling and have someone else proofread it for mistakes. This is really important. A resume with spelling and grammar errors or inconsistent formatting will have a higher chance of being put in the discard pile. Also, remember to avoid using first-person pronouns like I, me, or my. It's best to pick a simple template and use it as your model. Now let's talk about the types of resumes. The first and most common is the chronological resume. This is the type most preferred by employers. It lists the most recent position first and then proceeds in reverse chronological order. Like we said before, you can leave off short jobs. It's okay to have some gaps. Just be sure to include the important job duties and accomplishments for each position. Another type of resume is called the functional resume. It focuses on your skills and experiences, not the timeline. For this resume, you don't include the dates of work experiences listed, and these are often used by folks who have gaps in their employment or very little employment history. Then there is the combination resume. This resume highlights both the timeline and experience. It emphasizes the skills while giving the employer a snapshot of your job history. Now let's discuss some helpful tips on building a good resume. Here are some items that are must-haves. You need to obviously have your name and contact information, relevant work experience, education and certifications you may have, skills, programs, or foreign languages that you know. These are items that are nice to have. An objective or a summary, community or campus involvement, any honors or awards, and any managerial experience that you have, and be specific about the numbers of people you managed and for how long. So now that we have discussed the types of resumes, their structure, and what should be in them, let's take a look at a couple of examples of poor resumes and see if we can spot the problems. These examples were actually submitted with job applications to a local employer. Let's take a look. In our first example, you can see the problem right away. Single gal starting over. Well, first of all, this gives a poor first impression. It's really not relevant, and of course she's got spelling errors here. Next is a statement that I think is supposed to be like a mission statement or a summary. However, the punctuation is poor, and again, it's not information that's relevant. Authorized to work in the U.S. for any employer. What does that mean, authorized? Be careful on your resumes not to embellish. As we go down to the work experience, a utility worker is great. However, again, we're using personal pronouns. I keep up with building orders, stock closets with whatever the building is in need of. I cover shifts. And of course, there's, again, spelling and grammar errors. As we go to the overnight stalker, the capitalization is not correct. IV is lowercase. It should be uppercase. When we go down to the accomplishments, I am certified CPR. So CPR would be something you definitely want to list. Again, punctuation and grammar. I am certified in CPR. I am the only housekeeper who passed every state inspection. Again, personal pronoun and embellishing the qualifications in this particular case. Down at the bottom, shipping lead, again, we have more formatting errors here, and it's kind of unfinished. Responsibilities, well, what were the responsibilities? They're not listed here. Over and again, you can see how formatting, spelling, punctuation can have a real effect on your professional look. Let's try another example. So in this example, right off the bat, you see a spelling error. Right at the location, that's supposed to be Holt Summit. So when you have a spelling error and a typo right at the very beginning, this resume is probably going to go in the discard pile. Work experience, again, punctuation possibly here in the title. Mid-Missouri Property, is that really the proper title for the business? And it's not punctuated properly. Property should be capitalized. Also remember, this is a chronological resume, so the most recent position should be listed first. Therefore, the delivery driver installer should be before the parking lot sweeper. Now in the delivery driver installer, you can see, again, there's capitalization and grammar errors. There's also typos. I delivered appliances, and that's supposed to be refrigerators. Again, the grammar is poor in the sentence structure, and they're using those personal pronouns. So let's move down to education. Jefferson City High School. That's fine, but you see the title is not punctuated properly. So it's clear that this person didn't graduate high school, which is fine, but there needs to be an explanation for that or a skill that offsets that. If not, this is not useful to include in the resume. Something that would probably be better here than education, that would be more relevant, would be on-the-job training that was received as the parking lot sweeper or the delivery driver installer. That would be much more helpful when applying for a job and going to an interview. So with a little time and investment, you can create a very professional resume that will help you separate yourself from the others applying for the job. In many cases, you submit the resume with your application, and this could be the difference between getting an interview or not. It's well worth the time and energy. You can schedule an appointment with a Love Columbia career coach who will work with you to develop a resume if you need that assistance.